Welcome back, watch people. We are live for something completely and utterly different tonight as we welcome watch fans and fight fans across the world. Tonight, we're going to talk about another passion of mine, and that, of course, is professional boxing, a sport that I spent 4 very happy years in back in the 1980s as a promoter, and a sport that has huge links, of course, with the watch world, and of course both Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder have watch collections that would secure anyone's financial future and would make any watch person's eyes water. So it's something a little bit different tonight as we look ahead to Saturday's big fight with you guys, and also a very good friend of mine, a big watch man, a former boxer himself, a lifelong friend and associate of British heavyweight boxing legend Frank Bruno. That's my old mate, currently sunning himself in Spain. That's Danny Salmon. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, good, mate. You all right? As things?
Yeah. I'm very. Yeah, I had football in my mind for a minute, mate. There, yeah. How are you? You all right, Danny?
Yeah, good, mate. Don't talk to me about football. I can't answer anything about football.
No. I'll leave the football alone, mate. We're going to be talking boxing and watching. A bit of boxing and a bit of watches tonight. Mainly a bit of boxing.
Sounds good, mate.
I'm going to throw in something different for the viewers tonight as well, because I'm going to give away. I'm wearing a little Casio here. It's brand new, unworn, and I'm going to give this Casio watch away tonight to the viewer who correctly predicts the way in which this fight will end at the weekend. And if there's more than one that gets it right, I'll just have to randomly pick someone and, sort it out that way. But I'm sure there won't be too many that get it right. What you got on your wrist tonight, Danny? I know you got something nice on there, mate.
Got a 116688 yacht, the gold Yachtmaster 2.
Very nice.
Little bit bright,
looking good, mate. Looking good.
Nice watch, mate.
Well, if you ever want to get rid of it, mate, I know a man that would like to buy that.
Sounds good. You're buying too many watches, Paul, mate. That's your problem.
Oh no, Danny, do you know something, mate? Honestly, it's just a blooming illness, isn't it? I just wonder if I'm ever going to stop, but I don't think I will. We've got 105 people in the room. Good evening, everyone. Just let me know that you can hear us loud and clear in the comments section there. Really appreciate it. Rah, good evening. Boxing Barry, your old Dar. Good evening to you all. Just want to make sure that you can indeed hear us. Let us know in the comment section there. Would be appreciated. Right, Danny, I guess the first question is, are you looking forward to this fight at the weekend? Or do you see it, like some people, wrongly in my opinion, as a foregone conclusion?
I don't think with Wilder's power, you can write him off. I mean, I'm not. In my view, he lost the first fight. By points. I think there was 3 or 4 rounds in it. Tyson Fury's way, allowing for the knockdown. And I still see that it was Fury's fight. It was declared a draw, so that's what it is. The second fight, I believe Wilder come into that fight thinking that mentally, I think he believed that he was beating the first fight, and then of course Fury upped his game under a new trainer, Manny Stewart's son from Kronk Gym, and he upped his game quite a lot. And let's be honest, wiped the floor with Wilder, and that's not easy to do. I mean, Wilder, I believe, knocked out every single one of his opponents prior to the Fury draw.
His record, he had, 42 wins, 41 by KO, 1 draw, 1 defeat. Yeah, it's not a bad record, is it?
Well, I think he goes down percentage-wise as the heavyweight with the most knockouts. And anyone that can punch like that, there's 36 minutes of fighting. You've got to land one punch on the chin. You're talking very, very trained athletes here. They're not amateur people, and one punch can change this completely around, and he has got the power to change it around. So back to your question. Yeah, back to your question. I do believe that he's still got a lot of interest. I'd prefer to have seen prior to a week ago Fury AJ, but that seems to be done and dusted now. But I'm sure you touch on that later.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Now, guys, 140 people in the room, but I can't see any of your comments coming through, bizarrely, which is a little bit concerning. So can't see any of your comments. Can you just let me know that I'm just Danny whilst we're doing this? I'm just going to have a quick flick on to my channel and make sure that we are indeed live, because there are, for some bizarre reason, no comments coming through. Let me just have a quick look.
Okay.
Looks like we're okay, but I'm just going to double check. Yeah, we're okay. But I can't, for some reason, guys, your comments are not coming through. I'm not ignoring them. I cannot see any of your comments for some bizarre reason. So, yeah, look, Danny, one of my questions was, before we get into the Tyson Wilder fight in a little bit more depth, didn't Eddie Hearn and the two camps, didn't they somehow miss a trick here? Because I don't know about you, but I can't say that I didn't see that result with Usyk coming. I'm not saying I predicted Usyk would win the fight, but I think it was a very, very dangerous fight to take with such a big fight potentially in the offing with Tyson Fury. Did they not miss a trick in making that fight, making sure that fight somehow happened? Because they surely they could have paid Wilder 5-10 million quid to step aside. This was $100 million fight.
Well, I believe that AJ and Fury were going to split take 75 million each. So I mean, it's probably one of the biggest fights out there ever. I think Wilder went to court. I think they offered him step aside money, but I think he wanted 20 million, and I believe they wasn't going to pay that. So it was a mandatory, really. I mean, it was a dangerous fight for Joshua to take. Very obviously now it's
yeah.
I did expect AJ to win that fight. I think he had to come out and send a message to Fury. But my opinion, I think that since the Ruiz fight, the first one where he got beat, AJ, in the first fight with Ruiz and lost the title, obviously had the rematch and won it back in a distance fight, but was very gun shy. And I believe he hasn't mentally got it anymore. That sounds awful. And, someone that's been at that level and I believe now he can't come back from where he is. I believe it's a mental thing. I believe he's got stamina issues. I've said this for a long time. That if he gets dragged into a real dog battle, it's a real problem. I don't believe he's got I'm going to get slated for saying this, but I don't believe he's got the faculties at the top level. I think he's a very good European level fighter, top European level fighter, but at the top of the world, and a good world class fighter, but not world championship.
So
that's
No, I think
opinion.
a lot. And everyone's entitled to it. I know he's got a massive fan base, but I've got to be honest with you. I think amongst the serious fight fans, the very serious and knowledgeable fight fans, perhaps see it a little bit more like yourself than some of the regular, what you would call maybe boxing fans that like come into the sport for a big fight and dip out again afterwards. As I said, I think it was a huge mistake one way and another not to see that fight happen. They could have probably paid Wilder 10 or 20 million and still made a nice hefty profit.
Absolutely.
But it is what it is. Let's go back to Fury and Wilder. What has Wilder got to do differently in this fight than he's done in his first two? Because I tell you, there's a little bit of a parallel for me with Joshua and Wilder in the respect that they've both been knocking out everyone that stands in front of them for a long time. It's like they've been like bowling pins, haven't they? And then all of a sudden, Joshua loses against Ruiz. Who's the real Anthony Joshua? And the same with Wilder. He just beat the living daylights out of everyone that stood in front of him, and then comes along Tyson Fury and doesn't let it have it all his own way. He then beats him. I think he beat him in the first fight, but he clearly beat him in the second fight. So the parallel with Joshua and Fury is, which is the real fire in those two? Is it the man that sweeps everyone before them to one side, or is it a fighter that when he comes up against someone that's really worth fighting, they lose? Because Joshua's now done that twice, and Wilder's done it twice, in my opinion. Because, as I say, apart from the scorecards, everyone in the world thinks that he lost that first fight as well. So what has Wilder got to do differently? You know, you're a former fighter yourself, Danny. You know, you've been there. You know what it's like to get up into into the ring. What's he got to do differently to change the result of this fight? And can he? Is it possible?
He's got to knock him out. I mean, it's as simple as that. He's got to land a punch like he did in the last round of the first fight. You know, he's got to land that type of punch. But Fury got up from, I mean, how he got up from that, I don't know. He got up from that, and my estimation of Fury went flying that night when he stood up from that punch. I think Wilder has got to do it quick. He's got to come out guns blazing. I don't think he can go the distance. You got to remember, Fury, very, very tall, 6'9", I think he's, against Wilder 6'7". There's not a lot here.
Yeah,
Fury's got a 3-inch reach advantage. I think, yeah, he's got to come out and knock him out quick. That's his only chance. If he goes to the distance, he hasn't got a chance. I believe there's a big similarity between AJ and Wilder. They've both got stamina issues the longer it goes. AJ's a better technical fighter. He'll come out very stand-up British, jab, right, uppercut. Wilder comes out and he throws it from the South Pole and tries to take your head off with it.
Yeah.
And if it lands, you're in trouble.
This is the danger.
Yeah,
this is the danger. The one thing that bothers me about the fight on Saturday, and I've got to be honest with you, I actually thought that Wilder would win the last fight. I just thought that he would land one of those bombs again. And the worry for me, being a Tyson Fury fan, I think he's a great individual, a boxer. I think he's a great, individual. I think he's a real good role model in many respects. The concern is that, look, we can cross the road with our eyes shut 20 times and use our ears to know that nothing's coming. The problem is, the longer you spend in the ring with a guy like Deontay Wilder, eventually one of those is going to connect. And it did in the first fight. And I was watching the second fight back again this afternoon ahead of this. Guys, just a quick reminder, for some reason your comments are not coming through. I'm absolutely gutted, because I was really looking forward to seeing what you had to say about tonight's stream and about the fight, but the comments have completely frozen. They are not coming through. So many apologies for that. Sorry, I'm not replying to anyone. The danger is, for me, Danny, is that he lands one. And that is the only concern that I've got for Tyson on Saturday or early hours of Sunday, whenever it is. I did notice that they're saying he's looking a bit heavier as well. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Tyson or Wilder?
Fury, he's looking heavier. Looks like he's coming into this fight a bit heavier.
In my opinion, if he is, he's coming in to knock him out again. That would be the only reason he would come in heavier. And let's not also forget that Fury's had some issues in the past, as it's been well documented. And let's hope his mind's in the right place. Yeah, I believe it is. But that's going to be what happened to AJ the other day is going to be a huge blow to Fury as well, because he had that was his goal. I believe had that fight had happened and had Fury have won, I believe Fury would have retired, because really, where has he got to go?
Nowhere really.
I think, I think coming in heavier means one thing. If you come in heavier, it can mean two things. He hasn't trained as well, or he's coming in to knock him out like he did last time, use his weight advantage. Because he's not known as being a massive puncher, Fury. But anyone that's 20 stone that's a boxer, a trained athlete, he's going to hurt. You know, and,
he's
and
accumulative.
as it showed. Yeah,
he's
very
accumulative,
very,
accurate puncher.
As well.
Very
elusive. For a very tall, big man, very elusive and very fast, you know. Also worry a little bit because he did suffer a cut a few fights ago, a big one. It was against.
He did.
You want to hope that don't rear its ugly head, because that would be a horrible stoppage, wouldn't it? If they fight together, Tyson somehow gets another cut, and that fight is stopped on a cut. It's never really a deciding factor. Then what do we go to a full fight? I said when it was announced that Wilder Fury 3, I said I'm not going to watch it, because I just feel that Tyson Fury's going to come out and do the same, maybe even more convincingly this time. But I've seen Wilder some videos of Wilder training. He does look fit. Who knows?
He doesn't what? Sorry, he does look fit.
He does look very fit. Yeah, but punching a punch bag is very, very different to getting punched by.
Absolutely,
tremendous fighter.
He's taken on a new trainer as well. I'm not particularly convinced about that one, I'll be honest with you. Let's just remind ourselves of the very short highlights of that last fight, and just remind ourselves as to what Tyson actually did to Wilder.
It's the best I've ever seen. That's the best I've ever seen a Tyson Fury fight right there. That round of boxing against the most dangerous heavyweight on the planet. You would never believe so. He completely and utterly controlled the action. You know, he's just surviving in there at the moment, launching big shots from out of range. That's what you do when you get desperate, particularly after what happened in the first fight, missing so much. Clearly, he's reverting to type.
Using a bit of the head there. Oh, he's down! Left hand, right hand! And Wilder down! And Fury, arms above his head, believes he's on his way to victory now. What a shot! And it was hand speed. And how well can Wilder recover from that? Fury goes looking for him, another big right hand. And Wilder's on unsteady legs. He's in desperate trouble in there and crawls to the ground. Is it going to be given as another knockdown?
This next round, I'll be very surprised. Tyson Fury has won every single second of the first 3 rounds, 2 knockdowns. It's all Tyson Fury.
Wilder gets through, but he looks just about spent.
He's completely fighting on empty here. And with the lack of technical ability in terms of his stance, his hand positioning, it looks really, really messy.
And that drains your energy also. Shot. Oh, right hand down the middle. Throws in. They throw the towel in. The fight's all over. The fight's all over. Wow.
So, Danny, if we needed reminding how one-sided that fight was, really, that short clip there, I think it's just over a minute long, tells us everything we need to know. The one thing that I took from watching that again this afternoon is that really from the very first moment, Wilder just didn't look in the game. He looked weak. He looked like there was just something wrong with this guy. He didn't look right. And look, you've been in the ring a lot more than I have. I've done a bit of sparring when I was younger. You've boxed properly, but I always believed myself that within the first minute of a fight, boxers usually know themselves whether they're going to be in trouble or whether they're on top. They usually know within the first round, let's just say. Was that a case, do you think, of Wilder getting in that ring and within the first 2 minutes thinking, I ain't going to be able to beat this guy tonight? Or was there something else wrong? Does that make sense, what I've said? When you got in the ring, did you know, how quickly did you know if your opponent was better than you?
Boxing's 90% mental. It's 90% in your mind, 10% in your physical ability. I believe that. I believe, I said it earlier, Wilder went into that fight knowing really he got beat in the first fight. Yeah, maybe that was playing mental games with him. Wilder obviously blamed the first thing was the weight of his suit when he come in. So let's hope like this weekend he comes in with just like a gown over the top of him to prove that backing up his theory. But I think he was beat before he come in there. Fury also psychs him out a little bit. I don't think, a bit like the old Ali, he can sort of get under people's skin. So mentally, he sort of beats people a little before they even get in the ring.
Yeah.
But if you look at the later part, I mean, that first knockdown, when Fury knocked Wilder down in that first knockdown that we saw just then, Fury's ear was bleeding quite badly afterwards. So did that have something to do with his balance afterwards? Because did he have a perforated eardrum or something?
Sorry, you mean Wilder's ear was bleeding? Yeah.
Wilder's ear was bleeding.
Yeah.
And did that affect the rest of his fight? So that could be a factor here. So that then makes it could be a little bit more even this time.
I mean, look, I wasn't on the tail end of it, but it didn't even look like a particularly big punch to me. The one that sent him down. It didn't look like an overly. So, I mean, this is what makes boxing such an interesting sport. I mean, we go into this fight at the weekend. Fury is obviously a massive favourite, I would imagine, with the bookmakers, with fight fans, with anyone that knows the sport. But he does that proverbial puncher's chance. And we've seen what effect it can have on Fury himself. I mean, God knows how he got up, as you said, but again, mentally, what did that do to Deontay Wilder? He's given him his best shot and he got back up and he still beat him.
As it went on, as that second fight went on, Wilder looked scared. You could see him backing up and his eyes had fear in it. His eyes had fear in it. And I think that stemmed from the first fight. I think he went into the second fight. And I think going into the third fight, to go in there with a very, I don't know if it was very big on social media recently. He goes, train like your life depends on it because your life depends on it. And then obviously Fury had his reply to that, which we won't go into. But I think that if Wilder can go in there with a really positive attitude and go hell for leather for the first 3 or 4 rounds, he stands a chance, as he would with anyone, But
so do you think that's what he'll do? Do you think that will be, if you was Wilder's trainer on Saturday, if you was in his corner, what would your approach to the fight be, Danny? How would you send your man into that fight with Tyson on Saturday night?
After the first round, go the hell for leather for 1 round, maybe have a breather for the third round, go hell for leather for the next 2 or 3 rounds, because it ain't going to go the distance. The favourite, I think the biggest bet is for Fury to win on points, but I don't see Wilder getting to the end.
No, I don't. I think he'll run out of puff again.
I think so, and I think he'll be more mentally drained this time. Like I said just now, it's all part of your mentality of you're going into the fight, and that drains you if you're going in with your adrenaline pumping and you've got fear. It can eat you up. The fear can eat you up.
And throwing those bombs as well if they're not landing. And because I mean every other punch with Wilder is a bomb.
Absolutely. He doesn't feel you out. He wants to knock you out.
Yeah, he wants to knock you out. And
as you say, when they miss, that takes it out of you.
Yeah, that's one. You can throw 10 punches like that. If they connect, it's not as bad as one that misses. That's what I believe, and he's missing with a lot of those shots. And as you said, he's throwing them from the hip, he's throwing them from behind his shoulder, he's throwing them from all sorts of weird and wonderful places, and that will take it out of him pretty quickly. Guys, I'm going to repeat again, so sorry that your comments for some reason on this stream tonight are not moving along. I cannot see any of your comments. The last one was posted at 6:16. So I don't know why they're not coming through. Really sorry about that. Would love, but I definitely will read them all afterwards. Don't forget, the person that predicts the end, how this fight will end, that is how it will end and in what round, will win this unworn Casio, this summer edition Casio that I've got on tonight. And I'll be sending that to the person that guesses or predicts exactly how this fight will end on Saturday. If more than one of you get it right, I'll just have to toss a coin and decide that way. Danny and I are both going to predict how we believe this fight will end precisely before we end this stream. So, Danny, you might want to have that in your mind whilst we're talking. Let's just move on very briefly to the Usyk Joshua fight. First of all, I've got to say, I'm an Usyk fan. I think he's great. I think he's a great person. I like him as an individual. I like the way he fights. I thought he fought a magnificent fight at Tottenham last weekend, and credit to him. I mean, look, people say he's a blown up cruiserweight, but I mean, come on, let's fight. What is he? 6 foot? What was he? 6'5" or whatever. I mean, he's I think he's heavier than Mike Tyson ever was, I believe. I mean, he's still a heavyweight.
Yeah, he is. He is a heavyweight, and a really good heavyweight, as he's shown.
A very, very good one. Yeah,
AJ's a good technical fighter. AJ's a good technical fighter, and he outboxed him. Usyk outboxed him completely. The whole fight.
Yeah, I thought his head movement and the way he moved his feet, etc. I thought he was actually. I thought he was. With the benefit of hindsight, AJ was kind of made to measure for him the way it turned out, because I thought if that fight had gone on another round, I think AJ would have probably got stopped.
30 seconds, Paul. 30 seconds.
Yeah.
If that round had another 30 seconds, he was finished. He was finished. I believe AJ's corner had a towel in their hand. So I've been told.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
But
so he had a towel in. Yeah.
If we look at the 4 fighters that we're talking about now, Usyk, Fury, Joshua, and Wilder, how big a fight potentially would Fury and Usyk be?
Undisputed title. It's tying them all the belts up. So that in itself is great. We haven't had a unified champion for quite some time.
Would it gross as much as would it be as an attractive as a fight as Joshua
Fury? No, that would be the ultimate fight. Not so much now, but prior to last weekend, it would have been the ultimate fight.
Internationally or just domestically? Do you think, Danny? Do you think internationally?
Certainly
or domestically.
I don't think the stadium big enough to house it. It would have been fantastic, and I would love to have watched that. I've always said that Fury would destroy him. I've bets with people, but it's that would have been a great fight. I still think the Fury Usyk fight would be a great fight, but probably not as big. It won't. But again, when that comes, I believe Fury is just too big and
this is the thing.
Too technical.
Yeah, this is the thing. They say that styles make fights, and I think that whereas Joshua was probably suited to Usyk, I think Usyk could also be suited to Fury, because Fury is a great technical fighter as well, but he's also a much bigger technical fighter with a much bigger reach, and I just think he'd be too much of a handful for Usyk. But fair play to Usyk. I mean, this is an undefeated fighter that's beaten everyone that's come before him, and it would be wrong to look at that as a foregone conclusion, because that would be discrediting the guy. I mean, the guy has been fantastic.
How many people looked at it as a foregone conclusion when he fought AJ? I'm one of them. I thought he'll go out and blast Usyk out, and he would send a message to Fury that let's get this on. It didn't happen. And
it's a question, Danny. It's a question, and it's a question that a lot of Joshua fans are probably not going to like. But I'm going to ask you the question, see what you think. Did he ever really want to be a fighter?
I think he's, had a little bit of history.
Or is that do you think that's being harsh when I say that?
He's a tremendous athlete, although not got the best stamina.
Yeah, but so's Mo Farah. Is a tremendous athlete, but does he want to be a fighter? I've never been convinced that Joshua actually loves the sport myself.
In my opinion, he's done tremendously well. A lot of that's to do with the social media. Go back 20 years ago, the fighters then didn't have the type of hype and the ability to get out there to the world like they have today with Instagram, Facebook, all the social media platforms, and that helps. Everything, sponsorship, you name it. I don't think, and this is something horrible to all of the fighters of today, I don't think you would have heard of many of the fighters today some years ago. I don't think they would be anywhere near world world title contenders some years ago. I mean, I'm just going to pluck a few people like Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis, Frank Bruno. I'm going to say all those, just randomly. You've got Tim Witherspoon, Bone Crusher Smith, Tyrell Biggs, Razor
Larry
Ruddock. I mean, he
Holmes.
could punch. Yeah, you're going back, a little bit further.
Yeah.
Spinks, Fraser, Ali. Are we really saying that today's fighters are heavyweights? I'm not talking about the other weights, but heavyweights. Are we really saying that they would be? I looked not too long ago in an old Ring magazine, and it had the top 20, I think it was, and I read the names down from 1 to 20, and I would have said, like the likes of Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison. I still think that they would have possessed enough to beat all of the heavyweights of today. Tommy Morrison's a tremendous fighter, again, a tremendously hard puncher, but got destroyed by Ray Mercer years ago. But would we have had would these names be as high as they are and earning them? Good luck to them. They've all made this absolute fortune. And if I was Joshua now, he probably won't want to go out on a loss, and he'll probably want to execute the rematch clause he's got in his contract, and he'll probably want to fight again with Usyk, the rematch. I personally think we'll have the same result, possibly even a stoppage with AJ getting beat again. But
I was going to ask you about that because Cole Froch said the same thing. He doesn't fancy Joshua in the rematch. And so you're saying that you agree with that, yeah?
100%, yeah.
Because it would probably be in the Ukraine as well, wouldn't it?
Quite possibly. I don't know. I don't know the contract they've got. I mean, maybe AJ's still the bigger name, although he's not the champion now. He's still the bigger name. Yeah. And then maybe he would have the say where it is, or maybe it would be bigger in the UK than it would in the Ukraine. I don't know. And I think they'll just go where the money is. Yeah. Absolutely. More in that game than any other game that I know of. Yeah. But I see exactly the same result, but probably more definite,
more decisive.
Yeah, I think so.
So do you think that's the end? Do you think that's the end for AJ? Do you think, or do you think would he go back to European level? Or
no, that would be really bringing him down. I think he's got his faculties about him. He's got plenty of money. He's still a big name. I think, why would you carry on? Why just walk away? Maybe his rematch. If he wins the titles again, maybe just then say enough's enough. If he's not in love with the sport like you possibly predicted.
I think that for me is, and I'm not knocking him. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be in love with getting in the ring and getting my head punched in. So I don't blame anyone for not being in love with the sport. But there are fighters. Let's quote Tyson Fury. Is he a fighting man? Tyson Fury is a fighting man, without a doubt. He's a fighting man. If he wasn't earning money in the ring, he'd be bare knuckle fighting down a local site somewhere on a Saturday afternoon for 10 grand. He's a fighting man.
And it's important. It's important he's never been beat to him. He'll never want to lose that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not sure that Anthony Joshua has that same sort of culture, that same in him, that same sort of sense of, I'm a born fighting man. I think he's perhaps, like you said, look, he's still got his looks, he's still got his faculties, he's got more money than he could probably ever spend. I guess what Eddie Hearn and the crew are hoping for is that Fury will come through at the weekend. Joshua can win the rematch, and then the biggest fight in British boxing history can potentially take place. But I don't see it happening myself. I think they've missed the boat.
From what you've seen in that scenario, that AJ wins his fight, Fury wins his fight. Do you honestly think that AJ can beat Fury?
No, not a chance on earth. No, not
I'm more
for me.
Convinced now. I've always said it, but I'm more convinced now than
and I think he has less of a puncher's chance than Wilder.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what I wouldn't mind seeing Wilder AJ. That'd be quite an interesting fight.
That was my next question to you, which leaves us with a very interesting fight potentially in the offing. which could be an eliminator maybe somewhere along the line, would be Wilder Fury. Would be Wilder Joshua. That would be a very interesting
Joshua won't
fight.
take that fight. Joshua won't take that fight.
No, I don't think he would. No, I think
way.
that would be a tough one, because I think if he connects, and I think he probably would connect with AJ, then it would be game over, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
AJ, Eddie Hearn, AJ will not take that fight. Right.
Eddie Hearn won't, or AJ won't?
Both of them.
I think Eddie Hearn probably would.
If the money's there, Eddie will probably take anything because he's not getting in the ring. But I don't think he's very popular among the fight people, is he? He was always hearing the boos and stuff. I think that's a little bit unjust, but he's put on some decent fights. I mean, Shannon Courtenay, she's a British fighter, won the world title last time. Tremendous. I reckon it was the fight, one of the best fights I've ever seen from a female boxer. And she's fighting again. She's fighting in Liverpool on that night. Obviously, the Fury Wilder rematch is in Vegas or Nevada, I think. But she's fighting in Liverpool. I can't wait to watch that. She's a tremendous fighter. Absolutely tremendous fighter. I've messaged her a few times saying, you got to just fight. How you won the world title, you fight like that again. You're unbeatable. Absolutely unbeatable. I hope she's got that confidence and go in there. And absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. But going back to the AJ would not fight Wilder. I don't think he wanted to fight Fury. I think that's why it's taken so long. We can all say the offer was on the table and everything else. I think the reality of it wasn't really going to happen. And I think Eddie wanted to milk the gravy train a little bit more, another 3 or 4 fights before the final fight with Fury.
It's a sad question, really. It's a sad question, really, Danny. But is that, will history remember AJ as the guy that went all those fights unbeaten, won the world title, or will they remember him against Andy Ruiz and Usyk?
You come back from a loss. Loads of them have. You can. But is he going to come back and improve? I don't think he can. I think he's been a tremendous advertising success. He's promoted very well.
Great commercial fighter.
Absolutely fantastic. Clean living fighter. Very amicable with a lot of people. Although we had, there was a few comments made a couple of years ago by AJ that lost him a lot of respect. Won't go into that, but I think he's done very, very well with his ability.
Yeah. So
going back a few
question,
years,
before we get into our predictions for the weekend, and again, guys, I've got to repeat, I was so looking forward to reading all your comments tonight, and they're just not coming through, which is so frustrating. How would Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury fared against your old mate Frank Bruno in his heyday? Bearing in mind, I know Frank's a very good friend of yours, but if you can put your friendship to one side for a minute, and I'm a big Frank fan. I mean, I think I saw probably 95% of Frank's fights live. I followed him right from his very first fight, and was friends with his manager Terry Lawless. So I'm a big Bruno fan myself. But how do you think he would have got on against those two guys?
I definitely think he would have been too powerful for AJ. There was a big thing on social media the other day. It was quite a lot of comments. I think it was about 700-800 comments. And I've sent it to Frank. He ain't read it yet. I've told him to read it, but he ain't read it yet because I can tell when he's got the blue tick. So I sent it over to him so he can read it. But there was probably, I would say, 80% of the people were saying that Frank would have been far too much for AJ. Far too powerful, far too aggressive, far too go forward. With Fury, there's a little famous clip on YouTube where they said, when you two are going to have a spar, and Fury says, I'm not taking one of these right hands, I'll be knocked out for a week. You banter, but it would have been a good fight. I'd like to have seen it. I think you're coming to see Frank with me, next month.
Yes.
He's born on the 12th of November.
It's his 60th birthday, isn't it? Yeah.
60th birthday ball. Yeah, it's in Bedford. If anyone wants tickets, try and be there. Yeah, I've got to say that Frank would have beat AJ, and I would like to have watched him fight Fury. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah,
He punches harder than Fury, but Fury's a really good fighter and very elusive. Very, very elusive.
For me,
and Fury's
I can be
never
a
been
little
beat.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Fury's never been beat. We don't really know how good Fury is until such time, if that ever happens, before he retires.
One thing we do know is, though, we do know how he reacts when he takes a good one on the chin.
Absolutely. And if he could get up from a Wilder dig, he can probably get up from a Frank dig, you know?
Yeah. I'm going to be a little bit less politically correct. I think Frank would have been too strong for Joshua. I agree totally. I think he would have stopped Joshua, and probably fairly quickly as well. 3-4 rounds.
Yeah.
I think would have been enough for Frank. I think the first time Frank landed, it would have been all over. I think with Fury, Fury would have been Bruno's nightmare, if I'm honest. I think he's too fast, too quick on his feet.
Elusive.
Too much.
Frank's got to land
too
a punch.
much.
Frank
too elusive.
Land a punch.
And
Frank
had
very
that.
Good fighter.
Yeah, Frank had that bit of a stamina problem, didn't he?
In the world level,
world level.
I'd like to have seen Tyson Fury fight Mike Tyson in their prime, though, like Frank did. I think,
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest regrets I have in boxing all the years I've been watching boxing is back when we look at that Frank Bruno. I think we spoke about this before, didn't we? Frank Bruno, Mike Tyson. I think Frank had the beating of Tyson that night when he landed that punch, that get in there Frank moment. You remember that?
Yeah, from Harry Carpenter,
From Harry Carpenter. I think if Frank would have just believed in himself a little bit more at that particular moment, I think that was his big chance. I think
Frank always says that Tyson is a very serious hombre. That's what he puts it up as, and he was. I mean, I think Tyson in his prime stands with nearly all of them, maybe bar Sonny Liston. I think Sonny Liston would have beaten Tyson, and who knows, Rocky Marciano. I mean, a lot smaller. I mean, look at Rocky Marciano versus Tyson Fury. Look at
what were they, about 13.5 stone or something when they back then?
Something like that. And very short. I mean, look at Tyson Fury versus him. I don't even know whether Rocky Marciano could have reached his chin, But you can never say that Rocky would have got beat because he was the only undefeated heavyweight champion of the world as it stands. But even Fury can't compare with that because he's got a draw on his record.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, bring it to a close, I think, by making our predictions. So don't forget, guys, I can't see your comments, but I will choose the winner of this Casio watch out of the comments. I'll be able to see the comments on the video after. And whoever gets the prediction right, if there's more than one of you, I'll flip a coin, but someone is going to win that. I want you to predict how this fight will end and in which round it will end. And the person that gets it right will win this watch. But for now, you're going to have to do a my and Danny's. Who's going to go first, Danny? Me or you?
No, go on. You go first, mate. You go first.
I'll go first. Right. Well, I got the last one wrong. I thought that Wilder would win that fight. I just couldn't see. I couldn't get that big punch out of my mind. I thought if he can land it once, he can land it again.
And he can.
And he can. And that was my fear last time. It's my fear this time. As I said earlier in the video, if you fight a guy that can punch like that long enough, eventually he's going to connect. Absolutely. That is my only fear for our man on Saturday. But I'm going to take Tyson Fury to win. I'm going to take him to win big, and I'm going to take him to win inside 5 rounds. So I'll say rounds 4 or 5. I think he'll stop him again.
I think Wilder is a beaten fighter as far as Tyson Fury is concerned. He might be taking this just for the money. Because his final fight, the other, what's he getting? I don't know what he's getting. Let's say 30 million.
Enough.
That's going to come in handy, isn't it? It's going to come in handy no matter what.
Buys a few watches, doesn't it?
Then just he can buy. He probably can't afford your watches, though. To be fair, you still have to. He might have to have another few fights to buy your.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. I'm not sure about that.
I've got to go with. I'm going to probably go a little bit later this time. I think that possibly the perforated eardrum of Wilder last time played a little part in it. So possibly I'm going to go with. See, it's going to sound like I'm clinging where you are, like but I'm going to.
No, not at all. You believe what you believe.
First half of the fight, maybe round 7, possibly. But I would say, I'm going to say, well, you're going to say 4 or 5. I'm going to say 6 or 7. I'm going to think it go a little bit later. I think Wilder probably has tried a little bit harder, maybe got a little bit more stamina. And I've got to say, it's got to be a Fury win. I can't see any other outcome unless, as you said, comes out with someone that can punch like Wilder. He can knock a rhinoceros out if he tries. So
what you said, what you said earlier, when if you was his trainer, I believe that's how he'll approach it. I think he'll come out and he'll throw those bombs, and as soon as he starts losing his puff, I think he'll want to get out of there as soon as he can. And as I say, I think that will be in rounds 4 or 5. But we'll see. I just keep my fingers crossed that I get it right this time and not wrong like I did last time. Last time I thought Wilder would win.
I hope Fury's trained for this fight and that he's mentally right for it, because that's also a deciding factor. I think he's had a huge blow with Anthony Joshua losing. I think that's destroyed Fury mentally. So I'm more interested now that Anthony Joshua's lost in this fight at the weekend. Now that Fury might be a little bit unsettled with that mentally. Yeah,
I'm a bit concerned about Fury's weight as well.
Where's he going to go after this? He beats Wilder, and then he's got Usyk, and then what? That's it, isn't it? There isn't. Where else? Well,
that is it. Yeah. But the thing is, though, Danny, if he touch wood, he wins at the weekend. He has a unification fight with. I mean, when you think about it, it could be the perfect ending to a perfect career. I mean, he wins Saudi, unifies a title against Usyk, and then calls it a day.
Yeah, don't even defend it.
Don't even defend it. That would be
got nothing to prove.
Nothing to prove. Undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. The nil heavyweight champion of the world. Where is there to go? Why put any of that at risk? That would
absolutely.
Make
why
perfect
put
sense
why
to
put
me.
your health at risk as well? Why keep fighting?
No.
He's got nothing to prove. He'll have plenty of money. He'll have the legacy behind him because he'll be another undefeated. Although there's a draw on his record, he's still undefeated as such. And where else can he go? Who else can you line him up after Usyk? There's no one out there. I'm sorry, there's no one left.
And then he definitely could afford to buy my watch collection.
Still doubt that. I'm going to be honest. Still doubt that.
No. I'll tell you what, mate. Honestly,
am I in the draw for that Casio if I get 6 or 7?
No, you cannot take
2 rounds.
You can't take part in our own competition. No, I'll tell you what I'm looking for you guys out there in the comments there. Look, there's 103 comments. This is the annoying part, Danny. I can see there are 103 comments, right? But I can only actually read 4 of them.
I'm going to get slated in 103 of them, They're all going to say that bloke in the red don't know what he's talking about.
We don't know. Do you know what, mate? I might be. It might be a good job that we can't see it because we might have both got absolutely hammered.
I think we would have ended this after about 3 minutes. Yeah.
Shut up, Fulpy. Just stick to the watches because you know nothing about boxing.
Yeah, that red T-shirt's reflecting on his spam at the top, Yeah.
So, Danny, listen, mate. Well, you're out in Spain. Before we go, guys, let me know also in the comment section if you enjoyed this tonight. Something a little bit different. It's a watch channel. Don't worry. I'm not pivoting. I'm not going anywhere. It's going to stay about watches, but I love my boxing. Danny's a good mate of mine. We're always on the WhatsApp together. He's living out in Spain. Keeps trying to talk me to go out there and be his neighbour. But he keeps showing me the bugs that end up in his pool every morning. I said, Danny, I can't make out if you want me to come or if you're trying to turn me off. What's going on?
Tarantulas, mate. Tarantulas. I don't want to put people out of Spain, but they've not been there for a while now. It was just in the heat. Yeah.
So who's more scared of him, you or the missus?
Oh, Sophie hates him. Absolutely hates him. Just before I come out here to log on here with you, opened the back door of the house and a little lizard running. And she's got, you can't go now. You've got to get that out. So I'm chasing it around the house with a broom, looking at my watch, going, I've got to go. But I got him out in the end. It was.
So I'm in her bad books.
No, I'm
No,
all right.
not.
Yeah, no, I was sitting there so stressed. I've got to go and have my dinner in a minute, but I wonder if she's done my dinner. No, she would have done my dinner because I got rid of the lizard. But yeah, it's a wildlife out here, mate. It's, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But
I'm
it's
going to
like-
get out there hopefully before the end of the year, Danny. I'm going to get out and see you and spend
We'll
a
do
bit
a
of time
video.
with you down there. Yeah, we'll do a video, mate. And I know that you're back in the gym training. No punches, though, mate. Just stick to the bags, eh?
Yeah, if you'd seen my hands today, they're all broken and split and everything. Yeah,
Stick to the
I
bags,
can't do it
mate.
anymore.
At our age, it ain't a bit of us anymore, is
I don't want Joshua and all that coming after me either now. After I've said all that, because it was only a prediction.
Guys, I really hope you enjoyed that tonight. Thanks so much for joining us again live across the world. Really appreciate it. Would appreciate a thumbs up as well. And don't forget you can thank Danny in the comment section as well, because without him, this stream wouldn't have taken place, because I'm just a boxing fan. Danny's done the real thing. Danny has walked the walk and he's got his leg between those ropes. So he always has my respect for that. Danny, thanks for coming on tonight, mate.
Thanks, mate.
I really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching, and we're going to play the outro. Danny, if you stay there, mate, I'll be back with you in just a few seconds.
Take your time, mate.